Okay, well, hey everyone, to our weekly Q&A session. We'll be specifically covering feedback and how to use it effectively and how to give it as well. I'm going to hand it over to the presenters just to introduce themselves. My name is Leonie. I think I've said that enough times already. So Beatrix and kids, Louisa, if you want to just introduce yourself briefly as well.
You mentioned me first, so sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Beatrix. I'm Hungarian Romanian, 22 years old, currently third-year student studying economics and business economics in the Netherlands. And within X Culture, I first participated also in the academy. So you can kind of predict that it was kind of long ago, and back in 2019. And that makes it like 4 years since I'm part of the coaching program, and currently I'm part of the admin team. Nice to meet you all.
Ankit, do you want to go next?
So, hello everyone, I'm Ankit Gautam from Nepal. I'm currently in India to pursue my undergraduate in EEE, Electricals and Electronics Engineering. I joined Expulsor back in 2020, and since then I'm part of the coaching program, currently serving as a coaching manager.
Hi guys, I'm Louisa. I'm 20 years old. I can say that for one more month until I'm really old. I live in the Netherlands and I'm a third-year Law and Society student. And I've also been with X Culture since 2020 and am currently in the admin team for Academy.
Okay, I feel like I should probably introduce myself and not be egotistical and say everybody probably knows who I am. Okay, so very briefly, I'm Leon, as I mentioned, from South Africa. I'm 19. I still consider myself young, kind of, not really. But I had to say that I saw your face when Louisa said. And I've been in X Culture for, I have no idea how long, but since 2019, so a fair amount of time, and I am currently one of the coordinators for the Academy program. Is there anybody brave enough to unmute themselves and give a brief introduction, or you can put it in the chat? We do encourage you to unmute or at least put your cameras on, but I do understand it can be sometimes daunting, so otherwise just put it in the chat.
Wouldn't it be better if I stopped sharing for a few more minutes so that we can actually see people?
Andrew, I'm going to pick on you again. You first up once again.
Leonie, so we have a webinar here with our kids. Oh, sorry, yeah, I just walked in. Academy. So I just wanted to say a few words to them. So let me switch off and then I'll call you back. Okay. Right. Hi everyone.
Hi, Vance.
So I was on the phone with Dr. B, so I didn't realize that you started. You probably have it under control. I just wanted to say hi. So good to see you all. Ankit, Leon, Louise, Andrew, Beatrice. So very nice seeing you all. And then I assume we have a bunch of people watching online. So yes. I'm not sure if you need any information from me other than everything's going well. We have a larger than usual early tracks. So we have like 2,500 students, and we expect quite a few students in the late track where the academy students will be. So it's a nice big group this time. Lots of logistics to manage, but we have the system in place, and with your help, obviously we're doing a good job. So but yeah, I'm not sure if I want to take any more of your time unless you have questions for me specifically.
Well, does anybody have any questions for Dr. Vance?
Everyone is smiling, so I take that as a good sign. So yeah. All right. So we are all getting ready for Atlanta in a month. Any of you are going to the event in Atlanta?
Sadly,
You always shark. So yeah, at least Louise and Beatrice, so they made it to Poland. Leon, you are definitely what is it? The free, not free, but Thailand next year. You better pack the suitcases.
yes, sorry, it already is.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll leave you. So nothing that you need from me at this time, right?
I don't think so. Unless any of the students, do you have any questions for Dr. Vass? This is a rare opportunity to ask him any questions you may have about the program. Otherwise, I don't think so.
Well, from my end, I want to thank again the leadership team. So we have better results than usual with readiness tests, with retention. And so whatever guys you are doing, it's definitely working. So it seems like the trainees have taken, you take better care of the trainees than what we saw in the past. So we see a constant improvement and I really appreciate it. And then also I'm amazed how many things you are doing. So again, to those of you who are students, so not so long ago, there was first I was doing all the work, then I and some other people were doing all of the work, but I knew about everything that was happening. And most of the time it was either my idea or under my supervision. Now these guys are doing so much that it's not even that I'm not doing the work. I don't even know that they're doing it. And sometimes like, whoa, this is interesting. I didn't know they did it. So thank you so much. This is really good. And so the program is progressing and it seems like what we are offering today is even more better than it was before. So wonderful job here. So anyway, I'll get back to my work. And so good luck. And if any questions arise, just send me an email.
Thank you for joining. Oh,
Bye,
wait,
everyone.
Buzz, before you go, somebody seems to have a question. Do you want to
Yes.
or
Yeah, if you, Ziad, if you have a question, just maybe join us or type the question here. And
I received a mail like 2 days ago, and they said that there was a technical issue that caused that my tests were removed somehow, and now I have to retake them, but I didn't receive the link.
that would be for question for Raphael, who manages it. Probably best to send that question one more time to academy@xculture.org. But Raphael is literally, as we speak, last time I spoke with him about 8 hours ago, he was somewhere in Dhaka in the airport. So he's going to study in Japan, starting like literally now. And so for the past 2 days, he was in transit from Brazil to Japan. And I suspect if there was a delay with the link, that was the reason. If the tests were not found, maybe he just didn't have time to look for them. But he should have arrived by now, and I imagine you will hear from him very soon. So, but yes, if questions arise, just send it to academy@xculture.org, and Raphael will give you more information. Right? Okay. Hi, Eva. So I'll leave
Hello.
it, and good luck, guys. Thank you so much for your hard work.
joining Dr. Vaz? Bye. Okay, Eva.
Okay.
Hi, Eva. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh yeah. Okay. Hello everyone. My name is Eva from GA. I am 17 from Belgium, and I'm currently completing my last year of high school, and I'm also a coaching manager. I think that's what you need to know about me. Do I need to introduce the?
Sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute. Okay, I think we can get started then. So B, if you will share your screen and then we can get going.
Okay.
I think that you can see it. Is everything okay? You can see the title page? Yay.
Okay, so
Okay.
Okay, you go for it. You go.
Okay, so hello everyone. Today we will have a little, how to say that, informative session. Let's call it that way, about feedback. So we're going to explain you about how to provide feedback, but also how to use them. And you'll see that this is something very important in Xculture, which can make a big difference. Okay, we can maybe move to the next slide. Thank you, Bia. Okay, so what will we cover more precisely? Well, we will start by explaining about what is the feedback. Then we will move to the importance of it. So why do you need feedbacks in Xculture? Then Ankit will present you a feedback technique, which may be very helpful for you if you are unsure about how to structure it. And we will also cover what to avoid when providing a feedback to someone. We will also, as I said, explain you a bit how to use the feedback that you receive efficiently, and we will end with a Q&A session. So yeah, and I think the first slide is Ankit.
So now let's talk about what is feedback in detail. It's like a talk or the conversation between your growth and your progress. It also acts as a bridge between where you are currently and where you could be after a few days or after a few months with that feedback. Imagine it as your friend on a journey, pointing out the stepping stone of achievement while shining light on areas that could use a little extra attention. It's also a mirror that reflects not just our actions, but the ripple effect they create in our surroundings. Feedback is the navigator of self-improvement, guiding us through the ever-evolving landscape of personal and professional development. It's like a compass which will guide you for your growth and the progress. Yeah.
Second. Okay, so then like what is the importance of feedback? First of all, as you may all know, communication at the beginning with your team will be kind of difficult, and you might be shy or you might be slightly distant. So that can somehow, being too polite can even create problems and miscommunications. So actually, through feedback, you can improve the communication within the team because you voice out your concerns and your opinion on your own, others on your, and you on others' work, which can actually like allow you to build trust between the members, because you know that in case of a problem or when you're unsure about your work, you can reach out to someone else who could help you out by giving feedback. And it also enhances the team dynamic and helps you to grow as a team. How does that happen? Again, as we always mention, through communication, because the more you communicate, the more you work together, the stronger the link between team members will be. And of course, its main purpose, as Ankit mentioned, is to prevent also mistakes from happening in the future, and allows evaluation of performance and processes. Of course it does. So you can receive a pre-grade before actually being graded by the teachers and the professors who will actually be in charge of evaluating your report in the end. And it also can ensure you and facilitate decision making. I mean, it's way easier to take a decision to choose solution when you have more opinions, more sides to the story, and you can adapt to change. Again, if you receive several opinions, more from people with different background, then you can learn how to change. And feedback will motivate you also intrinsically to work harder, to give better results, because you will be evaluated within the team. And as we said, in a team, you are part of a whole. So everyone is held accountable for the performance. And by ensuring that feedback is going to be given, you can keep everyone in the team accountable. And lastly, you will get more innovative ideas as a team, because we are all different backgrounds. And as I mentioned last week, there are more ways to solve a problem, more solutions to a challenge. So just brainstorm and let everyone share their ideas. Whose side is this?
Mine. Yeah. So you guys all can see there is a burger on the slide, and it has a great meaning in it. Like in the burger, we have two one up, one down, and in between those we have a lot of things like lettuce, tomato, sauce, cheese, many other things, which make the burger very tasty and like favorite of most of us. So same goes with the feedback. Like if we only do a criticism, if we only talk about the negative side of the persons and pro feedback, it may not work always. So what we'll do, like we will follow the burger technique, we can say, or the sandwich technique, where we will start with the positive comment. We will talk about the good things of the persons, the tasks they are doing. We will reflect about the positive work they have been performing, so that our feedback will sound more good and the tone will be kind. And after that, we will move to the main part, the constructive feedback. We will talk about the what needs improvement, what are the areas they need to improve, how they can improve, and why they should improve. We can also share about our suggestions, ideas, and everything in the constructive feedback part. And again, we will end with the positive note, the positive statement, so that it will remain the balance. So the positive about the comments, and again, we'll end with the positive, like a burger. Yeah.
This is my part. Okay, so now I will present you what to avoid when sharing a feedback. The first thing is you don't want the person who will receive the feedback to feel discouraged after reading it. So try to incorporate an encouragetive notes in your feedback, so at the end the person who receives the feedback doesn't feel unmotivated and doesn't want to improve what you ask him or her to do. Then when you give a feedback, make sure that it has value. Don't just say this is good, this is bad. This doesn't help the people improving anything. So as it said, avoid simple structure. Have a structure where you explain what is wrong, why do you think it's wrong, and then how the person can do better. And this is the most important thing. So the last part. Then ban the use of raw words, but I feel like this is something about evidence. Don't be too brutal with the words. One of the complexity of feedback is that you have to find the right words. So don't say to someone, I don't know, your work is horrible, I've never seen something that bad. You know, this is the kind of thing we don't say to someone. Even if we think it, you just like find the right words to explain your thought in how to say that, in a polite and professional way. Then consciously be subjective. So of course you can share your opinion in a feedback, but make sure that it adds a value. So if you just say, okay, I don't like this, so it should be changed, your opinion doesn't add anything to the feedback. Of course you can be you can add your opinion, for example, as Ankit said, in the positive comment at the beginning of your feedback. So you can say, oh, I think this part is really good, I really liked reading it. That's a good point. But then if you had a negative side to your feedback with your subjectivity, this doesn't bring anything necessary to it. So try to be more objective. And you'll see that being more objective will convince more the person who will receive the feedback to to make changes, for example. And then last but not least, don't impose your ideas, but suggest to people what to do. So ban the use, well, not ban, but I don't recommend you to use, you have to, you need to. Those are really not harsh word, but maybe too direct. And the person who read this may feel like he or she is given an order. So try to rather use words such as I advise you, I recommend you, I think it could be a great idea to do this or that. So the person feel like this is a collaborative thing, and this is not just someone who is telling to another person what to do or what not to do. Okay, so this
Maybe
was-
like I would like to add something to the
yes,
last
go
one.
ahead.
So here, actually, like sometimes even if you suggest, some people might not understand why you did that. So maybe try to also convey why you're suggesting that. Raise some arguments, raise some questions. Why did you consider that solution? Why did you consider that country as a new market? What was your reasoning? So try to pry a little bit into and like show the person that you're talking to why you're suggesting to make a difference. So why you want to change something, just make sure that you approach this in a very nice way, but still be honest.
Yeah, that's true. You don't have to just say it is good because you don't want the person to look at you and be like, you're a bit mean with me because you're saying that this part is not well done. You have to be honest, but as I said, find the right words. That's something important. But thank you, Via, for adding this. Yeah, we can move to the next slide. Okay, so now when you receive a feedback, you sort of have to know how to use it, because some people, well, I'm gonna give an example later. So here for the first point, be open to feedback, have an open mind and willingness to learn. So when you receive feedback, don't say, no, I think this part was good, so I don't want to change anything. Be open to what the person is telling you, and if you don't agree with it, then mention it and try to find a sort of agreements. So this will lead you to have discussions, maybe debates about the subject, and this will make the difference and also avoid tensions. Then seek feedback proactively. For some people, it's normal to receive feedback. So for example, I know that, I have some friends who often receive sort of feedbacks from their parents. They are beyond them, they help them and all. And while for some other people, receiving feedback is not something they are accustomed to. And when you're not accustomed to receiving feedback, you don't either give feedbacks to others. So sometimes you have to sort of push the others to give their opinion. And this is something very important in X culture. So remind this, ask to your teammates to provide you with feedback. And then of course, coaches are here to provide feedback, and they will certainly do this, but you can also by yourself contact them and ask to them, okay, I've written this, what do you think about this? And well, the perks of asking your coaches their feedback or opinion about something is that they have been at your place at some point. So they have been through the program, they know how it works, they are trained, so they know that what they will recommend you is going to help you. Leon, do you want to say something?
I just have a suggestion that one of the lead coaches did last semester, and I thought it was a very good idea. Is something you can do when you are placed in your teams and after you've completed each section of the report, is you have like a feedback session. So you get on a Zoom call or whatever platform you want to use, and then you go over that section of the report and you give feedback. Okay, this is good, this is bad, why is this good, why is this bad, etc., etc., and then what needs to be improved. And then also, if your coach can join, is ask them to join in as well, so that they can also give you feedback. But what's great about that is it's active and everybody's doing it, and it's also a thing of it's not really like you're waiting until the draft report and suddenly you're trying to get feedback on everything. It's like as you move forward with each section, you know, okay, feedback is done majority, only a few minor changes or suggestions can come in later. But that's a really good suggestion, I think, that everybody should follow and keep in mind, because it'll really help you and make sure that life is easier and your report is great, basically. Ava, I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah, okay, that's very true. Thank you for adding this. So yeah, don't wait the last minute to ask for feedback. This is a really bad idea. But your coaches,
Can I also add something?
yes, of course.
Okay, so actually, I know real life examples where this last minute feedback ended up pretty bad. So please listen to Leon and ask your coaches for feedback all the time and ask for suggestions. Be timely. Don't postpone things, because if changes are needed, your coach can highlight these easier and help you with suggestions. So if you have to make major changes in less than a week to your report, that's going to be very, very stressful and will create anxiety, demotivate the team. So please do not do that.
Thank you. I thought you were going to explain the small example, but I guess this will be for another time. Okay, so for the next thing, okay, act on the feedback given. So when someone provides you with a feedback, don't just say, okay, I've received the feedback. No, I know what needs to be improved. I'm going to do this the next time I have to do this task again. No, if you have the possibility, do it as soon as possible. So you can also show the updated rather version of your work, and another feedback can be provided to you to make sure that you got everything right. Then don't hesitate to ask question, even if you if you receive a feedback and there is something a bit unclear about it, just ask questions. If you don't understand the logic behind, try to understand this. And this is something very important, because if you try to act on a feedback without exactly knowing what it means, then you're not going to improve much your work. Yes, also reflect on how the feedback aligns with your goals. So you have to sort of recognize what the feedbacks what the feedback says about your work and what needs to be improved. So I know this is a bit foggy, but I'm going to give a small example. So let's imagine that a coach tells you that your SWOT analysis, well, the points of your SWOT analysis are a bit too general. Then in this case, you have to improve your SWOT overall. But if at some point the coach tells you, okay, so for the opportunity part, there are some unclear things regarding this or that, then at that moment, you don't need to change your whole SWOT analysis. You just need to change the opportunity part. So sort of targets what needs to be changed. And again, if you don't target this part exactly, ask questions. And again, question is very important, very important. Okay, and lastly, create an action plan. So once you have understood how what the feedback means and what is recommended to be improved, try to decide how you will improve everything, build a sort of strategy. So you can say, okay, I'm going to work on this for, I don't know, a certain date, and then from that date, I'm going to ask the person who provided me with the feedback to check it again to see if I did everything right, and monitor your progress. So as you are changing things in your content, in your work, whatever, read again your feedback and ask yourself if you are sort of respecting what was said in it, if you are on the right path, basically. So I think that's it for this slide, but I don't know, girls, if you want to add something. Yeah, okay, Q&A directly. Okay, so this is the end of the feedback presentation. So if you have any questions regarding this, you can ask us. And then if you also have other questions related to, I don't know, the theoretical phase or the practical phase or whatever, which is X-Culture related, well, you can just turn on your mic or type in the chat.
And I also think that I'm gonna stop sharing the presentation because I think that
Okay.
it's more cozy if we
Yes.
see each other.
That's true.
Okay, any questions, people? Even in the chat, if you have anything to add or anything to ask.
As I said, questions are very important. So if something is unclear, ask it now.
Or maybe like a little exercise. What is your opinion? What would be your feedback on our presentation today?
And do you like this kind of presentation? Do you want to see more of them?
Luisa, as as a part of the audience, what is your opinion on today's presentation?
Well, I know from experience that all the points you mentioned for feedback are really applicable in a practical phase. And also when these things are not followed is when you see the most issues. And yeah, especially when we were talking about not waiting for the last minute to send your report in for feedback. Because if the week beforehand you send your coach your report and you're like, oh, do you have any advice? Yeah, that's not amazing. It's better if you are already, if you have like a beginning, they can already give some pointers. And I think that's also important. Like something doesn't have to be finished to be given advice on. And we as coaches, we don't want to help. Even if you're not unsure yet, you can share it and we will give feedback. We are not there to judge, just to help. So
Yeah, and this is the third admin member who kind of reminded you of that fact. Yes, Johannes, I mean, this might be the Q&A session, might be the interactive part of the session. I mean, actually, you can also see this part, like my question on asking for feedback, as, practice on how you would give feedback to your team members. I mean, you don't have your team members yet, but I mean, you might be already familiar with Lyon or Eva. I don't know if you watched the recording from last week, then you might be familiar with my or Luisa's face as well. So this would be, practice to see how much attention everyone paid and how would you formulate feedback? Anyone?
I just want to say that here we are in an X-Culture context. We are explaining you how to provide feedback in X-Culture, but what we are learning to you here, this is going to be useful in your real life. And I can guarantee you this as a student. Giving feedback is something very important, and I use it almost every day, even unconsciously. So knowing how to do this and mastering the art of feedback, well, I don't claim that I mastered the art of feedback. Every day I improve myself, but this is something very important.
So you're very close to mastering feedback, I must say.
Thank you. That's really nice.
And also is a very, very, fine skill. Believe me or not even all like university professors can provide useful feedback. And I was actually like really angry about that. I'm like, at X-Culture, we have better feedback than here. He was like, everything's great. You did a great job. Then what was the thing that could be improved if everything went well? So just, as I said, be honest, be polite, but don't be too positive. I think that like I saw your examples, like, is it good? Is it bad? But I think that like one word that I hate more than these two examples is everything's great. Everything was great.
Yeah.
There's always, always point of improvement or like another view. So just try to be helpful and instead of just simply praising the overall
And also,
report. I mean, you can't, but be more explicit. Yes, Leo?
one thing to also add is like in X culture context, just think of it like when you're giving feedback to somebody else, right? You're also helping yourself because it's a team project, right? And you want the best report. So you kind of, by giving feedback, you're also benefiting yourself, and if you think of it in a weird way, but it's making sure that the report is as best as it can be. And the only way to really get that is by feedback, because you can put in all the work you want, but it could be the wrong work, or you could be missing something, or maybe there's not enough support, etc. So the only way you can actually get like a phenomenal, like kind of winning report is by having feedback both from yourself, from your fellow like students, and then also from your coaches.
And there can also be like misinterpretation of the challenge sometimes. So do reach out to your coaches because they have some more experience on how the report is actually supposed to look like. Because even though like we are from everywhere around the world, the report challenges are kind of centralized to some extent. So yes, just make sure that you ask at least for feedback from your coach regarding the structure of the report.
And
That would definitely improve your chances to be among the best of the teams.
And I just want to add one thing onto that. I think we have mentioned it before, but when we say like your coaches and you'll have like go and contact your coaches, right? Is I just want to explain how that kind of works is when you get placed in your student teams, then you will be assigned either one or two coaches who will work with you through the entire program basically until the very end. So they will be with you every single step of the way, and they'll always be there to provide feedback, join meetings. So any support you need, they will be there. They're not the leader of your team, they're the coach of your team, and they're there to provide support, but you will be assigned a coach or coaches when the practical phase starts. So just so everybody's clear on that. B, you muted if you were going to say anything. I don't know.
No, I just realized that we talked about coaches this way, coaches that way for, I think that's almost 30 minutes. And we did not mention who these people are and what their role will be later this semester.
I did mention
So that's a good
very
point. Come on, Leon.
I did mention it in the welcome event, but that was a while ago. So, Ava, do you want to say something, or were you just muted?
I wanted to say something, but I forgot. I mean, is that but I forgot.
Write it down on the little catty post-it.
Yeah, but I'm running out of them. They're all used. This just shows how much I need them.
Then use the normal ones. I prefer green.
No, I'm running out of all of them. I don't have any more. Okay, I'm going to find some for tomorrow.
And now, Leon, please make a sign towards your wall.
Yeah. Okay, well, I promise for tomorrow I will have some with me.
Notepads also exist, then you can't lose the poses.
Yeah, that's also good.
Can I openly advertise phones? No, right?
No.
Okay, then don't. I won't.
Okay, does anybody have any questions in regards to anything at all, or any suggestions you may have on how to give feedback from what you've learned or how to receive it?
Before we end that, maybe Louisa, do you want to promote tomorrow's event?
Yes. Okay. So tomorrow we have a very special event. Now I have to promote my own event. That's kind of weird, but because I'm now also doing the presenting. So tomorrow we have our first virtual tour, and in a virtual tour, somebody, a coach, or later on you guys can also do it during the practical phase, shows your town, and they do this with pictures and stories, and it's gonna be a choose your own adventure kind of game. So I have multiple options, and you guys decide where we are going, like what we will be eating, which restaurants I will show, and I will do Alkmaar, which is where I lived, and this is actual the third time, but for this third time I have some new surprises and some very interesting things about my city that you won't find here as a tourist, that are a little bit more hidden away. So I would really recommend you coming, and it will also be an interactive session. So I'm also happy to hear what you guys think, if you guys have been to the Netherlands before. So
Oh,
please join us tomorrow. Yes, Bea has been to the Netherlands. She's currently there.
I actually went to Alkmaar for 2 weeks. It was great.
And
I
even can
must-
get lost easily in the Netherlands.
Yeah, that's true. Well, no, it depends. It depends. Oh yeah, okay, no, I see what you mean. Okay, okay, I see what you mean. Okay, so guys, we really recommend you to ask questions if you have to, because you'll see that the practical phase will go by really quickly. So you want to be prepared as much as possible before it. But then if you don't have any question, that's also okay.
Sounds scary.
I am sick.
No, you
That's-
sounded scary.
Oh, I don't know why. Well, maybe this is just my voice, but I'm speaking with my nose. I don't know if you can hear this.
Likely.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have had flu and all this thing for this. But anyway, so if you have questions, we will be really glad to answer.
Yes. And also if you just want to share like how it's been going on the practical phase, or maybe want to share a piece of feedback you got that you think is really interesting. Or just introduce yourself. This is also fine. Okay, I think this is something we will work on for the next meeting.
Yeah.
I do just want to say one thing is the reason we keep on asking you these questions and keep going on and on about it and like asking you to ask questions and introduce yourselves, etc., isn't for our joy or because we necessarily benefit out of it. I mean, obviously we love hearing from you, etc., but it's also just for you to get comfortable with speaking to people you don't know, and you kind of have to get used to, especially when you get close in your teams, communicating openly and actively with your team members, because those first few weeks they are tough, because as you can already see in the situation, it is sort of like a little bit, oh my gosh, okay, this is weird. But the more practice you get, the better. And if you do it now in the theoretical phase, suddenly when you like have your first team meeting, it's like, oh, okay, this is cool, I know what to do, sort of thing. So I do encourage you, if you can, turn on your cameras, unmute yourself, tell us how it's going. And I know it's scary. All of us who are now currently like in the coaching program, we know what it's like to be like in a team, feeling very shy, speaking to people you don't know. It is tough. I think I know very well exactly the emotions you were feeling. And I wish I had kind of prepared myself or had a little bit more, what is the word?
Courage.
Yes, and also like insight into what was coming. So this is your opportunity to do that. So after a lot of talking, I hope you get the point of why we keep on asking you questions or getting you to actually ask us questions.
Or me cracking very weird jokes. That at this point I think that they become awkward. But like you see, like they accept me. They learn to accept me. So yeah, I mean, I never ever met like Ankit or Lion in real life. So then we still get along really well. And we also started off with only some dark names on the screen for
Yeah.
ago.
We were also really shy with turning our cameras on ourselves, not wanting to speak. And now, I mean, for now, it's like, oh, I see somebody turn their camera on. Hi. How do I pronounce your name?
Oh, I think we don't hear you.
No, me neither.
Oh no, it's better. It's better.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you have trouble to hear me.
we can hear you now.
Oh, it's perfect.
Okay. I wanted to share my feedback to the presentation, and I wanted to say that I found the page of no-nos of feedback very useful, because it is really hard for me to receive feedback and also give it, because the toughest part of it is not to be very like, I don't know, mean to the person you give your feedback to. And when you criticize someone, it can be hard for them to understand what you're saying. Like when you're being mean, it won't help. It won't help to improve the presentation or whatever is criticized. Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't like when people give feedback to me, because the most of the time they just criticize me or my job, and I really hate it.
Yeah, I think everybody can agree with it. I don't think anybody likes hearing feedback that's kind of like bad in a sense, but sometimes it's needed. But obviously, it's always good when giving that kind of feedback is using the hamburger, that kind of, be nice still. So I totally get it.
Yes, I mean, it's always possible to say it in the way that won't offend anyone, so no one will be offended, and it will be okay. And you want to say that, well, that presentation was perfect, yeah, everything is okay, you don't need to improve anything. No, it's also wrong. You can say your advice, but in a polite way. I think it's always possible. Just not everybody understand this.
Yeah, and just jumping out on what you just said. Well, when we say the word feedback, people always think that feedback means that there is something that needs to be improved and someone is sharing this with you. But I feel like positive feedback are just not being enough known. You can just like send a feedback to someone saying, okay, your work was great, I love this part, it was well detailed, and then you explain why you love this. And I've received feedback like this, because in this culture you are surrounded by people who kind of know positive feedback, but at school or in my real life, I have never seen this. So this is something that needs to be promoted. And I agree, like often people think that feedback is just highlighting rather the negative things of your work. But okay, just a question: when people send you like those negative feedbacks, how do you react? Like, what do you reply to them?
When I receive negative feedback, I feel nervous, but I get their point. I always get their point, and I try to improve the thing that they were talking about. Like, it's hard for me to take it, but I always understand that point, and I try to improve it. It's just hard for me psychologically to take that point when it's said like mean, not in really polite way. And well, I don't really like being criticized. Nobody likes to, but it's needed. It's needed. It's always needed.
Yeah, it's needed, but not with mean words. And I get your point with this.
Yeah.
I mean, just like to add to it, I think that like maybe not every, everyone's opinion can be considered a feedback by definition. I mean, what you're telling to say here is more like, as you also mentioned, criticism. So feedback and criticism are kind of, different topics. So just always make sure to understand, the difference. And I mean, I would say that, yeah, criticism is bad, but the truth is that you will encounter it on real life. So it's also important to not be so deeply affected by it. I mean, if you don't necessarily have to, don't even try to argue with someone who did not understand you in the beginning. So just try not to take it so seriously. If you do know that that is just some harsh words that the person tries to convey, then just take them as such and try to protect yourself and be happy.
Yeah.
I'm not good at peace speeches, sorry.
No, but I completely relate also with what you guys are saying, also what Bea is saying. And what I've learned for myself is also ask yourself, if somebody is saying, would you take advice from this person? And if this answer is no, then also don't take their criticism to heart. Because most of the time, if somebody is really talking about something, they know what they're doing, then often there can be a semblance of truth, but can be in a hard way. But if you wouldn't take their advice, then yeah, don't take their criticism. And I myself am from a culture that's very, very direct, which can be really good and efficient, but also sometimes it's also like, oh, yeah. And I'm guilty of that myself, that's there's sometimes not really a thought about how your words affect somebody else.
I mean, I would come up with a very, fitting Estonian example. So, I mean, in smaller communities, you have the grandmas who actually really love to give life advice for everyone, every young person, because they have, the experience, they have the wisdom. And even though they might not have done anything so, special their whole life, and they have no idea what actually study, or like how your of life is going, or like how life is going outside of their bubble, they still feel usually very keen on giving you advice on how you should proceed. So do you think that someone who can't even understand the basics of your career is someone who you should listen to when she's giving you an advice or critiques you? I mean, because at least in my culture, because of they being elderly, you have to accept it politely, but you also have to be aware that they might not be entirely aware of the subject, or they might not be entirely correct in that topic. So I think that this is like how life functions as a whole. So try to keep it a polite way, because our word is not perfect, but again, focus on yourself as well, on your well-being.
Could I just ask you, where are you from?
Me?
Yes.
I'm from Ukraine.
Oh, okay.
And I wanted to also share that when I listen to advices that someone gives to me, I always like think about them, and I always try to understand the person that gives me an advice, and I always think about, would I take an advice from this person? Do I trust this person's opinion? And like all the things like that. And when I understand that their advice is being objective, like, for example, my presentation or something really had a mistake in it or false information, and it's pointed, well, of course, I will improve it. But if they, for example, didn't like the design of my presentation, well, it's their thing. I liked it, I made it, so it's not like objective criticism, like no objective advice.
Thank you for sharing.
And thank you.
Anybody else has something to add as well, or wants to share their own experience with feedback?
Or receiving feedback in high school or school in general? I mean, as I said, not even in university. Even in university, you not always receive like useful and helpful feedback. And I mean, I'm with one foot into master studies, and I still think that sometimes, life just brings you lemons.
Lemons.
And you have to make lemonade.
I do, I do. Okay, I think that we are kind of forcing this already.
Yeah.
So maybe we can just.
I think if do you guys have any more questions, practical issues you want to point out before we end?
No, it seems like
Any questions regarding, the ending of the theory phase?
Neither.
No, okay. Anything that you did not like about the theory phase? I'm not gonna promise that anything's gonna change, but complaints are welcome as well.
Yeah, we can take feedback as well. Oh yeah,
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I have a few friends who are in X-Culture as well, and for the theory tests, we couldn't see where, like, we all got pretty bad scores, and we just wanted to see like which questions we got wrong. And I'm not sure if that's possible.
Okay. Wait. No, sadly it's not possible. Just because there's so many students, and the main idea is the fact of like when you get the retake link is that you make sure you understand everything like fully. So even if you maybe didn't do too well in test, it's completely okay as long as you pass. That's the main thing. But I would then advise go back on the material and then go over it and make sure you still understand, well, not still, that you do understand what is being explained and what is being provided, because otherwise then also going to the practical phase, it can be a little bit harder. But again, as long as you're passing, that's the main thing. But do make sure you understand the information, because otherwise it can be a bit tricky. We have a question in the chat. Did you not receive the links, or have you just not taken the test as of yet? Great. Am I understanding this correctly? Is it that everyone's not receiving test 1 and test 2 links, or?
I mean, is it not receiving the test or not receiving the results? I am not pretty sure about it. Could someone give us more detail on that?
You should all have received
I think that like this person joined later, so they missed the first two tests.
oh, okay. Then on that,
I interpret like gave us, you know, kind of completed.
yeah, that's true. Okay.
Okay.
Well,
I
if
don't know down, maybe do names and contact you later.
however, you will get a chance to at like once the theoretical phase is, or at least rather the exams are all finished, then you will get a retake link for any exams you missed or you failed. So then you get another chance to retake them. However, if you did join late, I feel like you should have gotten the links already. So Bia, did you make a note of the names? Because then we can just follow up with Rafael.
Yes, I did. I'm not muted, right?
No.
No, you're not.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we'll follow up with that. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. But one thing, if you can also just do is just check your spam, just in case, because sometimes emails can go to your spam. So just see and make sure that the links aren't there.
And one thing that I also encountered, please try not to block emails that you receive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does anybody else have anything else? Otherwise, we can end. Andrew, I think you really want to leave, so you can leave. Okay, I think he left. Okay, everybody else, unless you have any questions, you may leave and make sure to join Louise's virtual tour tomorrow at 9 a.m. EST. I will stop the recording.
Are you recording back?
And no, actually, we are part of the Academy admin team. So we were
There are chances I could.
So
If that
yeah.
comes to worse in a team.
Yes, so actually, no, we are not going to be part of the team, and we did not form the groups yet this far. The groups, you will be assigned to a group in the practical phase.
Which is still about 3 or 4 weeks away, so there's still time.
Yeah, we are too old to be in your teams.
This is the second time you called me old today. So
Not you.
you did.
I called me old because
And what does that imply, Luisa?
yeah. Beck, you're young.
Okay, any other questions?
No? Okay. Well, then you're all free to leave. And there is always a Telegram group if you do have any other questions. Feel free to ask any questions there, and one of us will get back to you. Okay, now I'm going to stop the recording.